I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
With so many superhero movies these days seemingly brewed in the same formula, it was about time someone shook the mold. The filmmakers behind Deadpool spent nearly a decade trying to prove that the world was ready for an R-rated superhero comedy that existed in an established film franchise, but was so self-aware it would break the fourth wall. Definitely a tricky balance to get right, and against all odds, Deadpool pulled it off, and it was a smashing success with audiences and critics. But it wasn't an easy road, and may have never happened, thanks to budget cuts, constant delays, and a studio unwilling to greenlight it. So let's take another look at everything that went wrong, and right, and try to piece together the full story of what the happened to this movie. See? This series can have good films too. The story of Deadpool is a 13-year journey in the making that began with Blade Trinity in 2004. Writer-director David Goyer loved working with Ryan Reynolds, calling him one of the few that could convincingly do action and comedy. While tossing out ideas, the character of Wade Wilson came about. Goyer sold Reynolds on the mercenary with a motor mouth, who becomes the insane mutant Deadpool after being subjected to the same Weapon X program that created Wolverine. Soon after, either by coincidence or true destiny, the comic Cable and Deadpool #2 hit stands.
In issue #2 of Cable and Deadpool, which came out in 2004, I had Deadpool describe himself as looking like a Shar-Pei crossed with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, like I got bit by a radioactive Shar-Pei.
From that point on, Reynolds made it his mission to play Deadpool on the big screen. Goyer wanted to make the film through New Line Cinema, but the rights to Deadpool were part of the X-Men label, solely owned by 20th Century Fox. The project stalled before it could ever begin. Luckily, over at Fox, they were pushing for a series of origin films for their X-Men characters, starting with Wolverine and his journey into Weapon X. Adding Wade Wilson to the mix was a natural choice, whether thematically or just to sell more toys. And Reynolds was the only considered choice to play him. X-Men Origins Wolverine was a bit of a disaster and could be an entire episode itself, so let's just focus on Deadpool. The film had heavy reshoots, and a major addition was to increase Reynolds' role beyond a simple cameo. Wade Wilson appears as a member of the mutant Black Ops squad called Team X. Their leader, William Stryker, thinks of Wilson as a great weapon if it weren't for his constant joking.
If you didn't have that mouth on you, Wade, you'd be the perfect soldier.
During the climax, it's revealed that Stryker has pooled multiple mutant powers into a single entity he calls Weapon 11, or Deadpool. With katanas in his forearms and the ability to teleport and shoot lasers like Cyclops, the first live-action version of Deadpool couldn't be further from the comics. And then Wolverine cuts his head off. Released in May of 2009, the film was quickly maligned for a multitude of reasons, but a major sticking point for fans was its treatment of Deadpool. And taking the merc with a mouth and literally sewing his mouth shut felt like adding insult to injury. Despite the poor reception, Fox announced a Deadpool spin-off only days after the release. Later that year, Ruben Fleischer's Zombieland became a big hit, and screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick proved that they could balance 3 different genres, comedy, horror, and drama, while also breaking the fourth wall. Exactly what Fox was looking for. The writers were hired to take on Deadpool in January of 2010. Reynolds said that the duo instantly understood the character and the tone that they should strive for. They wanted desperately to play in the X-Men universe. From the start, they included Colossus, because they felt he was the perfect Boy Scout to Wade's assholery, and hadn't been given the time to shine.
Please, come quietly.
You big chrome cock gobbler!
That's not nice.
That October, their most recent draft was leaked to the internet. The script was well received, and surprisingly, 70% of it is in the final film. The freeway framing device, Dopinder the cab driver, the Vanessa meet cute, Wade's cancer, the torture, the taunting of Francis's name, teaming up with Colossus, the final showdown, and so many of the jokes, from T-Rex arms all the way down to the Hugh Jackman mask. The major difference was how much bigger the script was, with far more action sequences and characters that would have easily cost $100 million plus. Wade was also a lot nastier, and some of the jokes were a little too dark, like a running gag of how Amy Winehouse was going to die. Even though the script showed immense promise, the proposed film showed very little progression in actually getting greenlit. In the meantime, Reynolds was rapidly becoming a huge star and decided to jump onto another comic book property, Warner Brothers' Green Lantern film. And the question everyone asked was, if that film becomes a franchise, how could Reynolds possibly pull double duty as two superheroes? Was Deadpool ever going to happen? In April of 2011, Fox made an interesting move and hired animation director Tim Miller to helm Deadpool as his first feature film. Despite being an unknown, Miller was a veteran in the industry, under the visual effects studio he co-founded, Blur Studio. His film work wasn't vast, but Blur's bread and butter was video game cutscenes, and his trailer for DC Universe Online proved to Fox he was the right man for the job. Deadpool finally seemed like it was taking shape. Then Green Lantern came out. The $200 million Martin Campbell-directed space saga was meant to be Warner Brothers' Star Wars. However, the disastrous reviews and sluggish box office doomed their franchise before it could even begin. And the animated suit probably didn't help. Suddenly, Ryan Reynolds' star power was in question, and Fox got cold feet about funding another superhero film with him as their lead. Deadpool returned to the shelf. In 2012, the writers turned in their latest draft on the same day the Avengers hit theaters, thinking it was the perfect time to parody superhero films. Yet Avengers' monumental success had Fox and every other studio rethinking how movies could be made and that shared universes were the future. They now wanted Deadpool to be part of a team-up film. But Miller had made some powerful friends in Hollywood over the years. He showed the script to the likes of David Fincher and James Cameron, both of whom championed the project to Fox executives. Not to mention that Hugh Jackman was pushing for it since day one.
We would not be sitting here doing this interview right now if it wasn't for Hugh Jackman. I mean it. Hugh Jackman is the reason we got to make this movie.
Little by little, Fox felt the pressure and relented. They gave the filmmakers a chance to show off what a Deadpool film could be, and commissioned them to produce some test footage on a small budget. They returned with a CGI 2-minute short straight out of their screenplay, where Deadpool ambushes a convoy. It demonstrated the tone perfectly, complete with violent action, irreverent humor, and mugging to the camera. It ends with Deadpool waving to Fox studio head Tom Rothman, the man deciding their fate.
Hi, Tom.
He passed.
Oh.
Then left the studio. His replacement, Jim Giannopoulos, was also unsure. The studio didn't have any other film to compare Deadpool to, and they were doubtful of its success.
If you think about it, it's a Canadian mercenary with lead pipe cruelty, and he's morally flexible, and he's got cancer, and he's hideously scarred. And these are all sort of items that a lot of studios wouldn't necessarily be anxious to put up on the screen.
The film fell into a 2-year darkness with no movement, but Reynolds, Miller, Reese, and Wernick still stuck with the project all the way to its release. They battled studio notes and changing trends, drafts that bounced between PG-13 and R ratings, and the never-ending fear of budget cuts that would drastically change their film. Throughout, Reynolds stood as their cheerleader, never losing hope. He continually met with the writers to make sure the script was always faithful to the titular character. He also promised fans over and over that it would make up for the terrible mistake that was X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then in July of 2014, it all changed. The test footage they made years back had leaked. And one might say it broke the internet. Fans loved it, and everyone online was calling on Fox to make the damn movie already. To this day, no one knows who leaked it, and the 4 filmmakers all deny they were involved. But it worked. A month later, Fox met with the creative team and gave them a single ultimatum. Cut $7 to $8 million off the budget in 48 hours, and Deadpool was a go. They immediately began chopping pages, cutting a motorcycle chase from the freeway firefight, condensing 3 villains from the comics into one character, Angel Dust.
The big house. It's funny that I only ever see 2 of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men.
And severely reducing the final showdown by making Deadpool forget his bag of guns.
Where's your duffel bag?
Then it happened. 20th Century Fox finally greenlit Deadpool.
I know, right? Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?
Shortly after that, X-Men pro Simon Kinberg joined as a producer, and things quickly picked up speed. Everything was falling into place. The pipe dream became reality once production started in March of 2015 in Vancouver. 2 days in, we got our first look at Deadpool's near-perfect costume. parroting the famous Burt Reynolds pose. One of the biggest concerns fans had from the start was whether Deadpool would truly be a faithful adaptation with an R rating. For months, Reynolds played coy with a final answer, as Fox was still in flux about the issue, even though filming was ongoing. All hope was lost in April. Fox officially made it PG-13.
Quite unfortunate.
That does it!
And Reynolds tried to downplay the unfortunate decision. In a video, first here on JoBlo, Mario Lopez interviewed Reynolds about the PG-13 rating, but it was just a ruse.
April Fools, Deadpool will of course be rated R.
On set, Reynolds wanted both writers to be present at all times, but Fox wouldn't pay for their time, so Reynolds paid them out of his own pocket. He wanted to give them as much creative input as possible during filming, and really, after 6 years, so they could see their hard work finally paying off. They helped with altering jokes and improving bits, giving them dozens of options. Because Deadpool wore a mask, it even allowed them to constantly rework lines all throughout the edit. Production wrapped on May 29th. At San Diego Comic-Con that July, Miller and Reynolds debuted the first trailer for Deadpool. Fans were blown away, giving it a standing ovation. The action was hardcore, and with Miller's background in visual effects, the film had a big budget look despite the reduced cost. It even gleefully made fun of Green Lantern.
And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
The jokes were pure Wade Wilson. It was too good to be true. The marketing lead up to the release will go down as one of the most inspired campaigns in memory. With a limited budget, Reynolds personally worked with Fox marketing chief Mark Weinstock to get creative and not rely on expensive TV and print ads. Instead, they took the internet by storm, feeding us with countless viral videos and clever teases.
Give them a gentle roll around. Don't get too excited, though. You're on a mission here.
He hit puberty early and hard.
Ryan Reynolds looks so f***ing handsome in his red leather suit.
It culminated in the fun 12 Days of Deadpool, a series of promotional pieces released by various websites. Day 6, only on JoBlo, ending with the new trailer on Christmas Day. Nearly a decade in the making, Deadpool finally released on February 12, 2016, as the ultimate counter-programming for Valentine's Day weekend. Some of the highbrow publications took issue with its lack of depth and generic plot, but for genre fans, reviews were ecstatic. Deadpool was exactly what it needed to be. Gory, hilarious, meta, unexpectedly heartfelt, and it completely made up for Weapon 11. Deadpool was a massive success. Its opening weekend blew past expectations, making an astonishing $132 million, and ending its run with a worldwide total of $783 million, becoming not only the #1 X-Men film, but the second highest grossing rated R film of all time. It was nominated for 2 Golden Globes, and many believed it had chances at the Oscars. Sadly, it missed that mark. Reynolds and company poured their heart and soul into the film, and in spite of Fox dragging their feet to get it made, it proved worth taking the risk. While so many big-budget films succumb to too many cooks and an overbearing studio, Deadpool showed that a singular vision can succeed outside the usual norms. Fox may not have admitted they were wrong about Deadpool, but their gamble allowed them to take a chance on James Mangold's Logan. Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine was an R-rated, heartbreaking, Oscar-nominated send-off that elevated and defied the superhero genre. And it wouldn't have existed had it not been for Deadpool. If nothing else, we got the equally fantastic sequel in May of 2018. And with Fox's properties now under Disney, hopefully they will allow Deadpool to continue. And if any character could cross film universes, it would be Deadpool.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.